Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and today we're going to make a really cool card. And I stress the word cool because it features my favorite food group, ice cream. And you can see that I have an ice cream cone on the cover, and it says you are. I have a blank space here because this is where I'm going to handwrite the name of the person I'm sending it to. And I always do that. I try to do it on a separate paper so that if sometimes I misspell it or my pen globs up, and that way I haven't ruined the whole card, I can just use this separate. I'm going to open it up, and inside, so it says you are tout sweet. Now, if I had spelled this correctly in French, it would mean to hurry, or, to hurry up. But this way, I'm just saying how sweet they are, much like the ice cream. So this folded element just makes this fun. And the fact that the card has this portion that closes really makes it perfect for this style of card. I did this because I was cleaning out a drawer and I came across these cool cards. They're old and but in fact, if I look on the back, I will tell you the name. This is from somebody called Letterspace. But it's not difficult if you have an eyelet setter, or even if you just want to use little brads in order to create on the front and on the back. And then this is waxed twine, but you can use embroidery floss, you can use thread, you can use ribbon. All of those will work so that it holds it closed. Then inside, of course, you want to look, we're going to see how to make this element as well, this little folding up part. The envelope size for my card is the smallest that the post office will take. So the smallest they'll take is a 3.5 by 5. The card itself is actually, I measured it, it's 3.5 by 5. The envelope, in order to have a tiny bit of clearance, is just 1/8 of an inch bigger all the way around. So if you're making it by hand, those are the dimensions. What I wanted to do, so I'm going to start with one of the cards that came out of the box. Now, to decorate the cover, I had a couple of choices. This also fits in the same food group, and I thought it was cute. And you could just do this. It's just a Sizzix die cut, and it's just layered. But if you want to do what I did, here you can see that it's an ice cream cone die cut, and the perforations I used as a guide so that I could see where I wanted to portion and cut it out of the different colors. Like I cut out a section that would be the red scoop of ice cream and the yellow or the vanilla scoop and the cherry scoop. And then I added detail with a marking pen and a white pen to add some shading. So this, once it's all layered up, is going to just sit on the front cover. Or you could use the popsicle if you prefer. Let me use my tweezers so that my hand is out of the way. And I'm going to leave room because, once again, I'm going to place a little piece of paper here with the name of the person that I will be sending this card to. Then I'm going to undo the twine so that I have the spot for where we're going to put the inside, which is going to go here. Now, in order to create the inside, I layered it up. I started with the background. Now, when I make a card, especially one like this that has all these folded areas, once I make one, I know that it's going to be faster to make a second one if I use the first one as a guide. So before I attached it, I put it in the color copier and I made a copy, and now I can lay my layers on top and it just will go together faster is all. I don't have to do all of the nudging and the gluing and then the moving it around. But I'm going to start with this layer and it's going to go here. But first I'm going to use my pen to add some of the details. I know that the ice cream scoops are going to come down and they're going to cover over some of the detail. So I'm going to just start about where the ice cream will cover, and I'm going to add some detail. I'm going to go ahead and add all the way across the line for how this cone would look if you saw these in layers. If you wanted to, this layer you could cut out of a deeper shade of brown or a lighter shade of brown. Would also look cool. And then I'm going to do the same sort of detail here on the bottom. I'll just add with my white pen, and then I'll go back in and add some of the hash marks that you would see on this style of an ice cream cone. So once you've added those layers, I'm going to place it on top of my first one just because it will be easier. Now I've cut out the scoops, and I've created scoops that I'm going to layer on top of each other. I just hand cut shapes that looked like ice cream and that had a sort of a scallopy edge at the bottom. I'm going to want support for all of this, but I'm going to lightly stick them together so that then I can take the whole thing and actually stick it down on copy paper and cut around it. So I'll lay this down, and I'm going to put just enough adhesive to get this bottom layer to stick. So when I have it lined up, I'm going to position it so it matches roughly. I mean, who knows if it's really exactly like I had before. Then I'm going to take the middle layer, which was the green, and I've already gone ahead where I think the fold is going to go, and I've done a light crease because I want to make sure when I stick this next layer that I don't go right on top of that crease. It's going to fold easier if I don't have. So I'm going to set this down. If my finger's in the way, I will move it as soon as I see where I want to position this green. So there's the green, and the red, I'm going to go ahead and fasten it down, and then don't let me forget, I want to cut a slit because I'm going to add a cherry. But right now, while I've got all the rest of these lined up, let's go ahead and add this one as well. I'm not going to put adhesive on the very, very tip because if it matches this one, you can see that I want this flap to come back over. So I'm going to fasten this in the same rough position as what I had, except I'm going to leave this lip right here loose so that when I fold it, I can keep this area free. Now, before I actually fold it all up, let's go ahead and add in the cherry. So I'm going to need to cut a slit. So I'm going to take my X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to draw or cut a little slit where I think I want that cherry to slide in. And if it doesn't quite fit, I'll do a little test. I can always go back and make my slit larger, but it looks more like a real cherry if I take and I slide it in a little bit inside. So you can see that it would actually work better if I make this just a tiny bit bigger. Let me go just a little bit more. And now I'll go ahead and I'll put adhesive on the back of the cherry, because most of the cherry is exposed. I'm only going to tuck just a little bit inside. Let me do this so I can see what it looks like, and then I'll turn it back toward you. So now I'll go ahead and I'll press down on the cherry. Now I need to look at the folding. So actually before I fold, I feel like all of these loose pieces, I don't know why, but I felt like it needed a little more support. You probably could go ahead and create your card like this. But if you want safety, then I think it's good to place this whole thing onto another piece of paper, and then we'll do our folds. And it can be thin paper. This is just thin copy paper. So I'll go ahead and I'll put adhesive on the back of all of these layers. And go ahead and attach it to my copy paper. And like I said, all it really is just going to be a nice support so that when I fold it, I don't have layers that are going to want to try to come unglued and separate. So now I'm just going to cut around the outside edge. Doesn't need to be even exact because it's not going to show. It's just the back side. I'm just getting around to the top, and I think there was one little spot here where I didn't quite get underneath. All right, so now I just have a nice support for the whole thing so that nothing is going to come loose when I do the folding. So I'm going to take the card that it needs to go into. I need to make sure it's going to fit inside here. And I'm going to go ahead and fold my first line underneath where the green is, and then I'm going to bring this back, and I'm going to try to do this so you can see I'm just making sure that I overlap everything and that nothing shows that shouldn't. So you can see I'm going to just press down, and notice that right here you can see a little bit. I'm going to just trim that away. So when I open this up, you can see that I need to just go a little bit further in on this little ice cream scoop here, which won't hurt. It won't hurt the design at all, but it will make it look better when it's folded. So I'm going to refold and make sure, yep, it's better, but I need to clear. I just need to make this scoop just a hair smaller. So you can see now it folds up. I have this flap that's kind of nice. This is going to go on the inside. Make sure it fits. Ah, success. I covered over that. So I'm going to just, when you glue it down, you remember this needs to move freely. So I'm only going to put adhesive behind the pink polka dot and the cone. So if I open it up, it's just to the first fold line. So I'll go ahead, place my adhesive, make sure where is the front. That's the front. This is the back. And like I said, I'm going to close this up so I can see and get it positioned so that I like where it sits. And so that the whole thing sits sort of in the middle. Cover it like so. Press down. And then put my message. Notice I put Toot Sweet, and I did it on the green layer, so I'll take and I'll write Toot Sweet, half English, half French, just so it makes sense. It takes this particular pen takes a tiny bit of time to dry, so I'm going to wait just a second, but I will show you with this one, when you fold it back up and close it, and close this, it just makes the coolest little card. You know, if you're looking for a very cool card, you might give this one a try.